possible action to approve professional services agreement between the City of Fulshear and Denton, Navarro, and Rocha, LLC for the conduct of a systemic legal review of the city's home rule charter process and products. E is consideration and possible action to suspend city attorney activity on the Charter Commission until independent legal review of the charter process and products is complete.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that...
I haven't released the item to the council yet. Because I would like to give some background information on this. I was very disappointed to see these two items added to our agenda. And so for the public's knowledge, I'd like to recap kind of how we got to this point. It was probably at least 2.5, 3 years ago, at least 3 years ago, CJ and I met with Dr. James Thurman, Director of the U of H Masters of Public Administration Program, concerning home rule processes and procedures. And we began requesting volunteers in 2013. In June of 2014, a slate of Charter Commission members was presented to City Council for consideration and appointment. Now, CJ and I reviewed the applicants and selected a team that represented a really good cross-section for the City of Fulshear. At that meeting, though, in June of 2014, Council tabled the item, requesting more time to review the candidates. So we rolled forward into March of 2015. The Charter Commission slate was brought before Council with the change for a person that Councilmember Messick had a problem with. Council approved the Commission on March the 17th, 2015. Hence, the Commission began their work in June of 2015. Our City Attorney, Grady Randall, has provided legal advice, education, and counsel to the Commission. Dr. Thurman from U of H also came in at the very beginning of that process and provided a presentation on the forms of city government and the home rule charter process. Dr. Thurman has a lifetime of real-world experience and knowledge spanning more than 40 years. Recently, a statement was made indicating when the Charter Commission had finished its work and presents a charter to the City Council, the Council must send it to the voters, and that is the law. In earlier meetings, though, the process was not clearly outlined, and some statements gave the impression that the City Council would be able to vote the charter up or down on whether to send to the voters. With this misunderstanding, it appears that some council members thought they could let the Charter Commission work to develop a charter and then simply vote down the charter before letting the voters of the City of Fulshear decide on it. I'm here tonight to say that we have a great Charter Commission that I'm very proud of. The Charter Commission has worked extremely hard, and they have put in a tremendous amount of time and effort on behalf of Fulshear. The Commission has put in over 275 actual meeting hours, and that does not even account for the countless hours they've spent studying educational materials and reviewing other charter documents, because there are no citizen experts on home rule charters. Councilmember Messick has been very vocal about not having the opportunity for council to vote on the charter. As we stand right here tonight, the voters will be responsible to approve the adoption of the charter to take Fulshear either to home rule status, or they will vote it down to remain as we are today at general law status. Now, I believe there are three things that are going on currently. These accusations of a flawed process are unfounded. The accusations, I believe, are delaying the process, or intending to delay the process. And the accusations will cost the taxpayers of the City of Fulshear a lot of money. Now we have, as I read the agenda item, we've reached out to a well-respected attorney in city organizational structure to review the process and the charter document in order to dispel these notions. While Councilmember Messick decries the legal expenses of the city, we are now bringing on more costly attorneys. Denton, Navarro, Rocha, Bernal, Hyde, and Zek has a proposed budget a maximum of $12,000. And that's 50% of what the whole entire charter process has cost us to date. And they're charging us $250 per hour, plus travel expenses. Just for the record, Randall Law Firm only charges the city 3/4 of this rate and no travel expenses. I don't want the commission members who are here this evening to take offense at this action. You have charged your duties faithfully on behalf of the city, and I'm proud you have a charter document completed for our review tonight. And we have that document here in our hand. It was just delivered today. So I think that's a great Christmas present for the city. With all the controversy though the last 3 weeks, as of the last commission meeting, only 3 negative comments towards this document had been made by council members. And those were made indirectly through our legal counsel. I'm here tonight to take up and stand up for our charter commission and do not agree with Councilmember Messick coming in to second guess and strong arm the charter commission. The mayor and the city council, for those of you who may be just hearing about some of this for the first time, we're not allowed to serve on the charter commission, and it's for a very good reason. I'm sure the public here knows a lot of those reasons, but in case you don't see it, the commission is independent of the city's elected officials in order to protect the process from being coerced by politics. It's clear to me that's exactly what's going on with these agenda items requested by Councilmember Messick. I charged the Charter Commission from day one to make your decisions on what is best for the city of Fulshear. I came into office a few years ago on the motto that Fulshear deserves the best. That's what I expected. And I'm convinced, after seeing the Charter Commission work and operate and deliberate intently on issues, that that's in fact what they have delivered to the city. And so with that, I'll set up the agenda item. We do have members of the public who would like to comment, and so we'll go to that at this time, and then we'll open it up for city council comment. First, I think the chairman of the panel, C.J. McDaniels, I'll give you the liberty to speak first in your role as chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and citizens. I planned on deferring till the end because I don't speak for the commission members, but I speak for myself. And typically, I don't take time to write things out. I just kind of speak. But there's a lot of important things that need to be said. So with all due respect to Councilwoman Messick and your decision to postpone the suspension of our attorney, about 24 weeks ago, after your appointment of local citizens to the Home Rule Charter Commission, most of us appear here before you today. We're charged by you, the City Council, to create a document that would be the Constitution of the City of Fulshear. We've spent nearly 300 man-hours in meeting, working diligently, and through a judicious process to finalize a charter that will be the basis for operating the city from its passage henceforth. Many of us have spent many more hours reading materials to supplement our work. This commission, of which I'm honored to be the chair, worked through every single element, every question, and every article, spending hours reading the reference materials provided to us by our city attorney, Grady Randall, and his associate, Byron Brown. In our sessions, we did not always agree on each element, but we did have healthy and hearty discussion, and we came to a democratic consensus on what the best long-term direction will be for the city on each and every article within our document. During this process, we were asked by several of you to revisit certain items. We did, and we made those changes, much to the chagrin of some of us. Our work is basically complete. Our mayor showed you our document. We have it in hand. Our plan following last week's meeting on Tuesday evening was to have a joint meeting with you to review this document. However, it appears, without even seeing what we prepared, one of you or several of you may want to slap the commission in the face calling for an outside systemic review of our work. I moved here 2 years ago and wanted to be involved to give some of my time to the community. My time is no more valuable than yours, but I've worked 45 years to get to a place where I can have time, and that time is valuable to me. The time we spent on this document was well spent, at least in my opinion. I know our charter will stand up to any scrutiny. But what really bothers me is that not only have I spent my time to author and help write this important document, but now you plan to spend more of my tax dollars to appease some kind of personal vendetta. To spend $12,000 of additional tax dollars in up to 48 hours, that's not a review. It's simply a waste of the time and the taxpayers' money. My opinion may not make you happy. I've never been much for politics. I don't like the games and how it turns people against each other. My comments may not always make you happy, but I was charged to lead this commission to complete the document, and we've done so. Every member of this commission has had to sacrifice in some way to work on the behalf of you, the citizens of Fulshear. It's what we agreed and we're proud to do. I don't speak for the entire commission, only myself. So, review our document if you want and if you must, but don't hide behind any lack of transparency as the reason. Every meeting was open to everyone. Spend our money if you want, but remember, elections are around the corner and we all have long memories. Remove our attorney if you're compelled, but we stand behind him and what he's helped us create for your constituents. What a silly political move because you feel misinformed. If you move forward with these plans, I hope some of you will take time to personally apologize to every member of this commission at some time in the future for questioning their integrity and their work in this process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If we could just hold the applause and keep any outbursts from occurring. I'll go on to the other committee members first. Ken, now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council. I'm going to read my statement because I'll get tripped up or get off track if I don't. Hello, my name is Ken Knapp, and I want to thank the Council for giving me a moment to speak about my experience on the Charter Commission. My family and I love Fulshear, and that is why I applied. At the time, I didn't realize how important being a home rule city would be to Fulshear, but this experience has convinced me more than ever. The Commission's focus from the beginning has always been to develop something that was in the best interest of Fulshear, not just for now, but that could help govern for years to come, representing all parts of Fulshear. This charter is not Ken Knapp's charter, it's not CJ's charter, it's not even really the Commission's charter. I believe it's the people's charter. There are things in this charter that I personally don't agree with, and each member of the charter would probably say the same thing. But belief in the democratic process and commitment to what is best for Fulshear collectively has generated a better charter than any of us could have done on our own. I've been impressed with the diversity of the Commission and how seriously every individual is taking the responsibility. Let me share a couple examples of why I say this charter is of the people. Early in the process, we discussed and voted to have the term for council and the mayor to be 3 years. At our very next meeting, a lovely woman from the community spoke about how strongly she felt that a 2-year term was better. She made some good points, and we reopened the item, discussed, and changed it. This enlightened me on how important a charter is for Fulshear. The people were actually watching and paying attention to what we were doing. How cool is that? Later in the process, we were discussing how to have the best representation from multiple communities as Fulshear grew and shifted in population. There was a robust discussion with a lot of ideas to best accomplish this. The wording we finally agreed to caused concern with some of the community, and they came and expressed that concern to the Commission as well as this Council. We again opened the issue, discussed, and developed a better solution. We approached this very Council last month and asked for your review of our work and feedback of concerns or changes that you would like to see. You brought us 3 items, one of which we changed, one we couldn't consider due to state law, and one we chose to stay with our original decision. For these reasons and many other comments and input received from the community to Commission members along the way convinces me that this is the people's charter. We are scheduled to finish our work tomorrow night and would welcome more feedback and input later tonight or at that meeting. This charter deserves to go to the voters in May, but for that to happen, you need to decide to put it on the ballot by mid-February. I would like to conclude by respectfully asking this council to not only take this to the voters in May, but that you support and advocate for its passing. Fulshear needs to be a home rule city, to be given the flexibility to grow and change in a way to maintain all of the things we love about our city. Thank you for listening to my thoughts, and thank you again for choosing me to be a part of this Charter Commission.
Next we have Randy Stacy.
Thank you. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to make a few comments tonight. My name is Randy Stacy, and I've resided in Fulshear for 18 plus years. I can tell you and the other taxpayers of this city that the Charter Commission has taken its responsibilities very seriously, and that the Commission as a whole has worked diligently to bring a final product that is good for the city and for all of the citizens and taxpayers. Just like members of this city council, the members of the Charter Commission are charged with doing what is best, or what is in the best interest of the city as a whole, and that is what we've done. I'm very concerned about two agenda items before you tonight. One pertaining to the suspension of the city attorney from activity on Charter Commission until independent review is complete, and the other is the hiring of an independent firm to perform the review. I would have to ask, what is the reason to ask for an independent review of process and products? Were any city council members asking for this independent review as a prerequisite before the Charter Commission took up its work? Did any council member ask for this independent review during the mid stages of this process? Why, with only one meeting needed to complete its work, was it deemed necessary to call for this review? As a taxpayer, I am troubled by the expense that will be incurred to perform this review. I am also curious about the firm selected, having offices in San Antonio, Harlingen, and Austin, when Fulshear is so close to the endless count of quality law firms in the Houston area who have the specialty to do this type of work. Travel expenses will be charged by this firm for trips from San Antonio, Austin, wherever they're coming from, and I look at this as being frivolous and irresponsible. Additionally, by seeking this review, the council risks the charter will not be complete in time to place it on the May ballot. This would push it to a November election, which would incur even further unnecessary expense to the taxpayers. I would encourage each of the council members to not derail the Charters Commission's work by attempting to terminate the city attorney, who, by the way, I believe has done an excellent job, or by attempting to derail the process through disguised efforts to perform a systemic review of something that isn't broken and that doesn't warrant such a review at this time. The Charter Commission's work is done. The charter should be submitted to the voters of this city. I urge City Council to do their work as mandated by state law and place the final product of this Charter Commission on the May ballot for the voters of Fulshear to decide the charter's fate. The voters and taxpayers of this city deserve the opportunity to vote on this Charter Commission's final product and don't deserve to bear the cost of the expense from these two agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think our last commission member, Cheryl Finn. Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, you will be the last commission member. Let me get Cheryl Finney first.
I'm Cheryl Finney, and I was asked to be on the Charter Home Rule, and I'm excited to do so. since in this home rule, there was nobody that was an actual specialist in this area. We felt that we needed some guidance in the direction to go in and understanding more from just a citizen's view and someone living in the city and owning property and wanting to see the city go forward and be someplace that we wanted to live and to be proud of. I feel that, just as you've already heard, that we feel like this home rule that we've put together is one that the people of the community can be proud of. It makes sure that their voice is heard. It allows for several different things that have just been something that has just been understood, and that's the way the council had been doing some of the things along the way. But this charter rule makes it come into law, as per se, and is required. One of the things being that we guarantee that the people are able to come in and always be able to give a 3-minute of their opinion prior to going in to count to the meeting. I also would like to, the only thing that has come up to the council and what has been presented tonight is possibly the question on the ability of the council that has been given direction. And if I may ask Council Grady, how many times have you done a home charter rule or been a part of that affiliation?
It's okay if I answer.
Yes, sir.
I've done a second opinion on a charter. It's actually drafted by Charlie Zach of the same law firm.
And what city was that in?
Mont Bellevue.
And are they affiliated with the attorney that they have suggested that we use?
I represent them as city attorney and have for decades.
So basically you work together all along this, and that this home rule is probably a good reflection of what they would have guided us through as well.
If I understand the question correctly, and my good friend Bill Archer asked me this question at the very first Charter Commission meeting on the experience. I attended the original meeting in Mont Bellevue with the Charter Commission, and then was asked to do a second review based on a completed charter. This chart, Fulshear's charter, is based along the same lines as the Mont Bellevue charter. In fact, I pulled the minutes and I pulled the agenda items. And I've known Charlie for years, and I've known the Denton Navarro firm for decades. And I don't want to take your time, and I'm going to throw a curveball at some of the Charter Commission. I'm all for a second opinion. If you're going to have brain surgery, you go get a second opinion. If you're going to take a big step, you get a second opinion. Now, no one asked my opinion whether you should get a second opinion, but you should get a second opinion. I'm not afraid of a second opinion. In fact, Charlie, if he's hired for this, will recognize a lot of what he did in Mont Bellevue, because a lot of it was good product and was based on $12,000 at 48 hours. I obviously undercharged Mont Bellevue, but so yeah, I mean, if you want a second opinion, get a second opinion, but don't derail the process, and get it done quick. The charter is 22 pages, and that's the 22nd page. It just doesn't take that long to read 22 pages. So yeah, I have some experience. This survey that I handed out to you and council is based on the Texas Home Rule Charter Survey, which is an overview of everything that should go in the charter or not go in the charter. This notebook that I work from and everybody has seen is every home rule charter in Fort Bend County. And this green spreadsheet or worksheet is what we used with the Charter Commission, so that if they wanted to take a certain position, I could say, well, this is what Richmond does, or this is what Katy did, and this is why Rosenberg rejected it, or Stafford, or any of the other home rules. So yeah, I have experience.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I think I would voice my opinion on, just of course, my own opinion. I don't think anybody is trying to avoid a second opinion. I think we're surprised at the timing of it. Thank you for your time.
And the last commission member, Bill Archer. And the commission members, I've given them just a little bit more latitude than typical for comments. I think they deserve that. Once we finish with Mr. Archer, we will go back to the strict 3-minute time limit, and there won't be any interactions at that point.
I want to hear any comments about seeing eye to eye. I originally signed up to talk about item E, which I was vehemently opposed to. I didn't want the city attorney dropped and suspended from this process at the last minute. That was my main concern. Apparently that's going to be withdrawn, so then there's not an issue. As far as D goes, the hiring, the getting a second opinion and the spending of the money to bring in another law firm, I will say that I probably don't see the specific reason for that, but then that's because I'm not a city councilman, I'm not sitting up there anymore. Been there, done that, don't really need to be doing it again. I know how difficult it is, especially on an issue like this. But that particular issue, I would say, I don't see why it would be necessary personally, but maybe you all have more information than I do, and then that's your job. So, I'm okay with that. I will say, I don't really need to speak at length about how hard the commission worked. What these guys have already said is true. That's what you've heard. It's pretty much the whole thing. And so I would say, as long as we don't have to terminate the representation in midstream, if you guys decide that there's something that I'm not aware of, that we're not aware of, that requires a second opinion, that's your prerogative. The one thing that I do want to say that I haven't really thought about, and it comes kind of from being up there before and being surrounded, I take offense, actually, and exception at the personal attack on Ms. Messick. I know she's hard to handle, and I don't agree with her very much of the time either, but I know that she has the best interest of the city in heart. She's not trying, I don't think that she's trying to torpedo anything. I think she has the best intentions, and I think is also interested, if you'll ask her, to see that it understands that the movement of this city to the home rule is probably one of the most important things that we've taken up since I've even been out here. But that's, although you may not agree with her, these accusations, these personal accusations, and it's not just against her, but I've heard little comments here and there. Come on, y'all, work together. This is, I think everybody's trying to get to the same place. We may have some different ideas on how to get there, it's necessary. And that's why we have all you guys up there voting instead of one person. When you read this proposed charter, I hope the citizens will, we've gone way heavily in favor in every turn of this, in more power to the city council, going to a city manager type of government, with the whole idea of trying to keep the politics out of the actual day-to-day operation of the city government. And that's really about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate those comments. All right, we're going to start a reverse order here, and then we'll, miss anybody, make sure you flag them down. We'll hold to the 3 minutes, if y'all would please. Todd Finney.
My name's Todd Finney, Cheryl, my wife. Many of the things that I was going to say tonight have been said by all of the people that worked on the commission, starting with Mr. Gill. Mayor, appreciate your statement. Here's one thing I want y'all to know. I've been here for the election of everybody sitting up there, and I've heard ad nauseum that you guys want transparency in the process. What Mr. Archer just said is that these people are sniping because they don't believe there's transparency in the process. You guys are charged with making sure we know at all times what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're doing it. That's your requirement. That's how you got elected. That's how you will get unelected if you don't abide by that. So what I'm telling you tonight is that, as Mr. Archer said, work together but work with us. Make sure we understand what you want us to know and be effusive about getting that out to us. You're smart people, but there's a lot of smart people out here. Make no mistake. We watch, and we're just as bright as you are, and we will make sure that you remain transparent and you remain responsible to your community. It is required, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Sherry Bennett.
Well, most everything I was going to say has been said. However, I will say that we've sort of gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. You've got on the agenda 2 items. You're going to essentially replace your legal counsel without replacing them, before you replace them. And in the process, you're going to cost us a lot of money for a second opinion. Now, he's graciously said, hey, if you want a second opinion for brain surgery, I don't know that I think this is brain surgery and I'm a nurse. So, I think we have a document that needs to be passed, well, not passed by you, and I think that's the problem. I think you didn't like that you didn't get the up or down vote, and you want to try and stonewall it. So I'm going to charge every one of you that's on this committee or this council to stand up in this meeting and, for the record, tell us whether or not you're for this, whether or not you like this, and why you like it or you don't like it, so that we know what you're thinking.
Thank you. Owen Bennett.
Thank you, Tommy. I'd like to thank the commission for all their hard work. I have no problem with getting a second set of eyes to look at the document that Grady's put together. It took me less than 4 minutes to look at your tree ordinance and to realize it had tree clause. And your response to that was to form a committee and hire an urban forestry consultant. Nevertheless, if these cats are as smart as you say they are, they should be able to look at that document and tell you it's consistent with Texas law. And if it's consistent with Texas law, you can go ahead and call the election and let the people decide. You can make changes if there's down the road you need to after 2 years. And I point out that even tonight you're making changes in 3 ordinances, 2 of which you passed in the last 2 years. So changes can be made. Second, I see no need, in my opinion, to publicly shame the city attorney. Item E on the agenda was uncalled for. Just tell him off the record he has other responsibilities. You wouldn't want to be treated like this, and I think it's unprofessional and petty. Second, with respect to some prior comments about spending money on getting ordinances, you guys don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just go online, Google whatever ordinance you want. You'll find several ordinances in the state of Texas that are working, they're in place, they're proven. Just scratch out that city, write in Fulshear, and you're good to go.
Thank you, Owen. Did I leave anyone out that was signed up on that agenda item?
Mayor,
All right, with that, I'd like to open it up to council discussion.
Mayor, since we're making, we're taking these agenda items together, I'd like to make a motion to not suspend the city attorney activity on the Charter Commission, pending any review or not review, but to not suspend the city attorney on the Charter Commission.
Do we have a second? Motion's been made and seconded to not suspend the city attorney for the Charter Commission activity. Any comments on that particular item? Being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion that, like originally tried to make the motion to approve professional services agreement between the city of Fulshear and Denton, Navarro, and Brocha LLC for the conduct and the systemic legal review of the city's home rule charter process and products.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second? Second. Motion's been made and seconded to hire the law firm, and that's gonna be with Counselor Mr. Zek for a maximum cost of $12,000 at a rate of $250 an hour plus travel expenses. Yes, it's open for discussion.
When I first reviewed this and saw it on the agenda, I did not see this outlash, I guess, of public comments about it. I understand where you're coming from. I see from your point of view, based on everything that everyone is telling me, I see how this looked. But I didn't think when I first reviewed that that was the intentions. I thought the intentions were similar to what Grady said, and it was merely a second opinion on something that is very important to the city. That's how I saw that. It was in no way, for me, any hit on the Home Rule Charter Commission at all. I think from what I've reviewed, it is looking great, but I am not an attorney. I don't know if that is all of the, it has all the legal words it should. There's been some mistakes that have been made. Grady has agreed on that. I didn't want Grady suspended from this either. He is open, just like he said to all of you, to a second opinion and to working with another attorney. So when I saw this, I merely saw it as a second opinion before it goes to public vote. Not to hold it up. I hope that it gets passed to go to public vote in May. I don't want to delay this at all, and I think the Home Rule Charter Commission has done a fantastic job from what I've heard, but again, I don't know if we have all the legal wording in there that we're supposed to have. I am not an attorney. That is why I thought, okay, a second opinion, especially with our city attorney being open to that, and then working together, would be a good idea. I'm not sure if we were just on different pages. I think maybe some of the council members, maybe we all have a different idea of what this was, but it is a lot of money. It is taxpayers' money. But I believe that making sure this is 100% the best for what we have, that they've done, worked so hard on and done a great job with, is completely right before we send it. Because the last thing we want is to take this document, send it, we made a mistake somewhere, something was misinterpreted. Grady, I think you've done a great job guiding them, but you yourself said that you've only done this secondary, you really didn't take the lead on one. So why not ask someone who's taken the lead, are we sure this is right? Awesome, the public vote on it, and we move on. That is how I saw this. Now, I heard what you said, Mayor Kirknall, and I just didn't see that in this document. I merely saw it as a second opinion, and I wish that that was how it was portrayed, especially with, and again, I didn't want item E either. I did not want Grady suspended from this. I think him working with an attorney can only strengthen how he interprets our home rule charter going forward. So that is my take on this as a second opinion, not a knock to the Home Rule Charter Commission, not to delay it at all. I do not want to delay it. And again, even Grady has said it's 22 pages. It could take them a day, and that's it. It's reviewed. It looks great. We got a couple things wrong. We got a couple, everything's right. Whatever it is, we've done our due diligence to the public, and we've moved on. And it's going for vote. It's on track, and we're not delaying it. That is how I foresee this. I believe one of the citizens asked that you hear our opinions, and that is my opinion on it. That I don't think this was to hold up anyone, at least from what I gathered. But again, I'm not sure.
The agenda items you see this evening are a toned down version of previous discussions.
Okay, and I wasn't privy to those.
Right.
All I know is I saw consideration
And it
for
was more
second
of
opinion.
more of an olive branch to try to keep the process on track. Grady, as you said, is comfortable with the review, and so we offer that as some sort of, again, method to dispel the notion or the myth that there's something afoul with the home rule charter. So
Okay,
that's
and
how we
so
got to this point.
And if there's not, like Randy said, it may take like a couple hours to review this, and it's done, and we've like done due diligence, and it didn't cost $12,000. And it's done, right? I mean, Grady, you're open to it? I say work with someone else, we just review it. There has been mistakes made, we know this. So let's make sure that no
There
mistakes are going
was a
forward.
comment I made to the Charter Commission
Okay,
that I've never made to y'all, about a subject y'all never asked me about a charter you've never reviewed. And I found that misinterpretation, which frankly, it wasn't as bad when I went back and listened to the tape, because you could have a veto on a Charter Commission amendment if the council had appointed the Charter Commission, and if the charter didn't otherwise say that it had to go to the voters. All that got kind of mashed up. If you go look at Charlie Zeck's agenda item for Mont Bellevue, if you go look at the agenda item in Richmond, they put it on the agenda for council approval. And I called Charlie about this before all this blew up back in early November.
and this is the guy that we're proposing
Yeah,
also reviews
Yeah,
it.
I
Okay.
mean, like I've said, I've known him, my former associate, Katarina, chasing love to Austin, works for them now.
Okay.
I mean, and again, he's gonna be looking at what he kinda did in Mont Bellevue anyway. But I called him up, and so we get the books on the phone call, and it's, where did this come from, and work through the law. So, yes, there's an up or down vote, it's to call an election. Yes, it's up or down, you can't, it's not a junkyard where you pick apart. It's all or nothing on the charter. Yeah, I could have been clearer. I caught that mistake before y'all did a vote. I took ownership of that mistake. I disclosed it to you, and I disclosed it to the Charter Commission.
And you did, and you did open that up, and I am perfectly fine with it going straight to public vote. I understand that is in the law, that we just send it to public vote, that is great.
But as for the substance, and I don't mean to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but,
that's what I was.
I mean, that was a little procedural hiccup, and I don't mean to underplay it. Y'all obviously thought you had some review of it. But as for the substance of this, I stand by it 100%. And I'm not, again, get a second review, but get in there, get it done, and
that's
let's
where
all
I was.
have a Merry Christmas.
I didn't, no, I wanna make that clear. Mr. McDaniel and to the Home Rule Charter Commission, I think y'all have done such hard work on this. I know, Mayor Kirkendall, CJ, everyone has said how much work y'all put into this. It is not something you took lightly. It has been almost like a full-time job. And I think that is wonderful. So why not make sure it is 100% right? I know even at a workshop and the last 2 months, we've had a lot of questions on zoning and is that set up correctly and things like that. I mean, to me, it's making sure it's 100% clear and 100%. We would have 2 attorneys saying, this looks great, move forward, and we're done. It may take less than a day. That's how it helps.
I sort of along the same lines. The $12,000 is the maximum amount that would be allowed to be spent. It's not what we would be spending. And to have that second set of eyes look over something as important as this is to our city, I just feel like that's in the best interest of everyone. I do have questions. We received the charter at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and I did read it and had some questions. But you all have been great. Everything, I've been to lots of your meetings, and everything that I brought up, you all addressed, and I really appreciate it. You've been open and welcoming, and I know you worked really, really hard on it, but I just feel like a second set of eyes never hurt anything.
I'd like to speak as well. To the Charter Commission, I said in the last couple of meetings, I appreciate you guys stepping up and volunteering all this time that you did. I commend you for all the effort and work that you did. This is not just like the other 2 councilwomen. I think this was very much taken out of the intent of what this was brought to for the reasoning. There was some information that we were misinterpreted, and Grady's he's fessed up to that. I think if you look at 1977, when this city was formed, we're under a general law city, and we follow those rules now. if the public would understand that what you were charged to come up with is the actual legal document that every citizen in the city of Fulshear will be governed by. That is the most important document that this city would hold to any person that sits up here. And so as a council member, we're charged, transparency-wise, to make sure that when we present something, especially to the public for vote, that we have confidence behind it, not in confidence that what you did what you thought was the best for the people. That's upon you guys, and we read that, we'll take it, and we all have our own vote upon that. But we're charged to make sure that everything that was said and done and presented is legally bound so we can present it to the public. And that's, I think, the stint of what we want another law firm to look at. I'm glad that Grady made that comment, that he always, you know, recommends that. So that's a good thing to do. I don't think it's something out of ill intent that we're trying to attack you guys or attack him or anything like that. I think it's just, we're charged to put this out to the public, and for me to really stand behind it, I want to make sure it's the right document and it's legal. Because I would say, a lot of people see, you know how many ordinance we get brought up here time and time and time again. And you see how they're all flawed. There's so many things wrong with them. Who creates those ordinances? Not me. We have some council members might, we have a city administrator that might, we have a mayor that might, we have an attorney that might have done that. So we know that there's problems with ordinances not always being accurate and correct. So when it comes to the legal document for this city to be standing and to be built on, I think it's the best interest of all the public to have a second opinion to look at. And like they said, I'm glad it's only 22 pages. I think that's, you know, pretty reasonable for an attorney to look at and not cost $12,000. You know, to this date, I don't know what the legal fees that we were charged by our city attorney to create this document. I'm sure it's pretty extensive. But I think the ill attack on Ms. Mezek, bringing this for why I think she brought it for, was just a second opinion. I think that was a wrong thing to do. I appreciate the passion that she has for the city. She puts a lot of effort into a lot of the things that she likes to look at. And I think it's a wonderful thing to have her here that she does that. She's not making sure to second guess you guys. She's just making sure this is the right thing to do for the public. So I hope you guys don't take ill offense that, you know, we're questioning that you guys just created something upon yourself. You did what you thought was best for the city. That's great. I appreciate it. And I look forward to reading it, and I look forward to being able to have my own opinion of it. And like right now, I don't have an opinion of it because I haven't read it. But I appreciate all the hard work and time that you guys put into it.
Just as a reminder, please make sure to give due deference to the council members who are speaking. They are elected officials, so please no snide remarks or gestures from the audience. Just one comment on that before we move along. You know, the comment on the ordinances with the issues, you know, I wish if you were planning to reference our ordinances and some of the issues we have with those, you wouldn't do that with our city employees and the staff that works on those here in the public view. They work very hard on that. They do have mistakes, but this body changes its mind, and once public pressure comes to bear, there are a lot of changes that are all of a sudden needed.
It's not
so they, again,